Peter Roscom, candidate for Congress, and I approve this advertisement.
Back on Get Down to Business, the show that's all about small business jobs and entrepreneurship. And what a great conversation with Karen Kaplan. But joined here in studio by Andy Jansen, who's here to tell me about HardHatHub, which is an interesting mix of experts from construction, architecture, real estate, and engineering with tech startup leaders and cutting-edge developers. Andy, welcome to the program.
Shalom. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me. And yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. You've educated yourself quite well.
I try to familiarize myself quickly. But that is an interesting dynamic, an interesting mix, and I'm fascinated by the story of how you started HardHatHub. And we'll talk a little bit about what HardHatHub actually is. But how did you come up with this concept?
Well, I spent about 10 years in the engineering construction industry prior to starting the business. We've been doing it for about 2 years, started at the end of 2013. And my role in the industry was hiring for a general contractor and consulting engineering firm, and was faced with challenges every day of trying to identify and hire the right types of talent for our business. So the options that existed, as you know, anybody listening may know, when you're going out to find somebody as an employee, are getting referrals from your business and people that you know and trust, which is obviously the most preferable way to do it. But the traditional methods outside of that are utilizing job boards like Indeed or Monster or Career Builder, or working with recruiters. And neither one of those were really an efficient way to, an effective way to hire people. So that was kind of the impetus for building the business.
So, Andy, you're a matchmaker.
Well, a little bit. We usually don't lead with we're Match.com or eHarmony, but some people get there.
I went there. There's no taking it back. And I'll just say, because I'm looking straight at producer George right now, and producer George does some odd things in his spare time, and he knows that some of the personalities in the respected professions that you mentioned aren't always the easiest people to work with. I like that. There we go. I couldn't resist that one. But I, in all sincerity, I think it's absolutely fantastic to bring together the types of people that you're talking about. So is there an algorithm involved? Where's the technology piece come in?
There is, absolutely. It just as you said, the whole idea was really the brains behind the technology are to not allow for every single person who's interested in a position to apply for it. What we do is we capture profiles of people that work in the industry, and everything about our site speaks to people that work in construction. And so if you're a pizza delivery driver, or if you're a nurse, or if you're somebody who really doesn't know anything about construction, we sort of automatically have people self-selecting out. And after they've then created a profile that's very specific to who they are, what they've done, the types of projects they've worked on, and the things that are important to them and that they need in a career, we then ask some similar questions to the employers and let the relevance algorithm do its magic and come up with the right types of folks.
So let's break this down. I want to talk about the job seekers first. For job seekers, what's the cost? This has got to be very expensive.
Totally free.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, we would not want any members of our community paying so that we can help educate them about the industry. The reality is that the construction industry is facing a shortage of labor, and you've got more and more people retiring, and so building HardHatHub was really meant to introduce efficiencies into the hiring process. We have to get more efficient, and so we can't put any barriers in front of the job seekers, and for them to feel comfortable joining the platform.
We're chatting with Andy Jansen of HardHatHub, and it's a free profile for job seekers in the relevant industries, which is fantastic and really cool. And I'm seeing a term thrown around on your website quite a bit. It says free and anonymous. Explain the anonymous piece of this.
Sure. Again, what we're trying to do is to empower the workforce and to help educate them and to help them understand where opportunities in the industry exist, and whether that's with their existing employer, and we can help them understand the certifications or skills or training that they can acquire to make themselves more marketable. We do that. But we also know that people aren't always comfortable with having their information out there in the world. And if you think of a platform like LinkedIn, that's a big social network or business network, not everybody's there looking for work necessarily. And so what we really wanted to be intentional about was to make sure that if people wanted to create profiles, that they could keep them completely anonymous. And the other thing that our technology does is it hides profiles from your current employer also. So even if you're active, you're able to set a flag and tell us who your employer is so that they're unable to see that, oh, Bill is out there looking for a new job.
That's pretty darn cool. So tell us on the employer side how this works. What's the fee to them?
Sure. No cost on the front end for employers to come in and create their profile. One of the things that we really wanted to do to make the industry and to make our platform more efficient was to make it educational to the workforce so that they could understand who the employers are out there, because there are hundreds of thousands of employers and very few of them are large in construction. There's maybe 10% of the employers that are large construction companies or engineering firms that you've heard of. And so helping educate the workforce about who they are, we wanted to make that very inexpensive too, so that people could make the right choice about the employer they might want to work for. At the point that an employer sets up a position profile and sees the candidates that match to their position, we then go ahead and get paid when the employer clicks on a little connect button. So we give them everything about that person except for their contact information, their name, their email address, their phone number, and any other details on their resume that would be pertinent.
That's great. And so you're a relatively new company, so I have to imagine you're in major growth mode. And by that, I want to, again, pick it apart in two different pieces. Where are the bulk of the job seekers and the employers? And then tell our listeners what kind of growth you're experiencing. I see that you have some opportunities to join the team on your website, so I want to make sure that those opportunities are shared as well.
Sure, great. To really frame it up for employers that are jumping on and joining the platform, we've launched it about 3 months ago, and from a growth perspective, we're seeing about 50% month-over-month growth on our recurring revenue, which is essentially where we're really looking to grow the business and have the technology be as efficient as possible. And there's still a fair amount of service revenue in helping employers get connected to job seekers in more of an old school fashion, or to help them promote who they are to our community through our newsletters and some of the other media. So that's ultimately how we're helping those employers and how we're growing the business at this stage.
And on your website, there's a statement that sort of sums up everything about HardHatHub. We're passionate about this industry. That sort of sums up everything that I'm seeing here in person, hearing from you. There's a story behind the business, and you're certainly determined. I've used that word a few times in the show today, but determined to help a lot of people and to make a lot of connections, which is cool. As part of that building phase, tell us a little bit of a call to action on some of the opportunities or people that you're looking to meet with.
Sure. No, I think you're spot on with the passion about this industry. It's an industry that doesn't get a lot of love, to be honest. It's not a sexy industry, and the people that work in it are honest, hardworking, good people.
And talent is everything.
And talent, and they're very, very talented, both with their minds and their hands. There's a
George, you hear that? You've got a mind in there. Yeah, he lifts up his hands.
So we really are truly trying to make sure that people understand and know how we can help them. And we're getting out onto the job sites, and we're shaking hands, and we're giving people coffee and Cliff Bars or donuts, and just kind of talking about their story and having them tell us about it, because organic growth and how we help each and every individual person that we interact with is really, really important to us. And I think it's the only way to build a really great platform.
That's awesome. So once again, we're chatting with Andy Jansen of HardHatHub. And Andy, we are running out of time. So I want to make sure our listeners can find you, although I think it's pretty clear from everything we've talked about that for a technology connected industry, or you're bringing an industry into technology. Obviously, you're all over on the web, all over on social media, but how can people find you online?
They can find us at HardHatHub.com. You can email me directly, ajansen@HardHatHub.com, or you can call us 312-857-5062, and our team's there ready to help.
Check out the website. Really, really cool. Great information about the industry. Great information about how technology, as I mentioned, is coming into the industry. HardHatHub.com. After the break, I've got a lot more tips, advice, and information for you. You don't want to touch that dial. You're listening to Get Down to Business.
University of Portland has